me, Gabby Dunn, the other half of this channel. This is the season 8 Bad with Money finale. It is about financial feminism. Wait, don't go. I'm not here to gatekeep, gaslight, and girl boss. I promise. We're going to be talking to Tori Dunlap of HerFirst100K. You know her from TikTok. She's a controversial figure, but we get into it. And then we're also going to be talking to the internet's favorite comedian, Akilah Hughes, who I love and I know from YouTube, and I'm sure you know her as well. And we're going to get into some skepticism about financial feminism. So if you enjoy what you're about to see, go to the bio, the description, and you will see the link for the episode. And you can go also to my bio on Instagram at Gabby Road and see the link to the episode. Okay, I hope you enjoy it. Financial feminism. What is it? Do we need it? Do you agree with it? Let me know. Bye. You started learning about money after school as a way of like handling things yourself, and then sort of realized that other people didn't have that same background. Like, is that kind of what happened in terms of wanting to educate other people?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to have that financial education, and I didn't realize it was a privilege until I started having those conversations, until I realized, oh, this isn't the norm for everybody. Because you grow up and you're like, my childhood's completely normal. And of course, for me, it was like, oh, all these good things, these are completely normal. And so, yeah, I graduated college in May of 2016. And Trump got elected, of course, not soon after that. And I just realized through this privilege came a responsibility. Through the privilege of the financial education I had from my parents came a responsibility. And through talking with friends, I was the friend all my friends were coming to for advice and guidance. And so, you know, doing research and again, like coming into adulthood, into womanhood in a very different America than I think we all expected. It was the realization that, yeah, we don't have any sort of equality until we have that financial equality, and I can do something about it. So I started the blog that later became HerFirst100K in December of 2016. So it was like I graduated, I was working a job in marketing, and I was growing HerFirst100K on the side, prompted by the election, really.
And what was the goal of HerFirst100K?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day when I first started, I was 22, and I was like, I just want to write a blog about, like, 20-something life.
I did
like,
the
how
same
do I
thing.
navigate, cool, yeah, how do I navigate career? How do I navigate, you know, travel and all of these things?
Yeah.
And then after, you know, again, doing more research, having more conversations, having, like, sexist, horrible things said to me at work or said to my friends, and just realizing, like, oh, I can't leave my job because I'm financially dependent on it. I started realizing all of my blog posts had something to do with money. So I'd go and travel, but talk about like how I negotiated like our car rental down, or how I found this crazy flight deal, or again, for career, it was like how to level up your career in order to make more money, in order to have more options. And so through that research, through conversations, and through kind of the realization that this is what I wanted to talk about, HerFirst100K was kind of born. And my own origin story, I was trying to save $100,000 at 25. That was my first 100K. That was the origin story of the kind of rebrand. And I was successful. I saved my 100K. I was on Good Morning America. And then 3 weeks later, I quit my job to run my business full time. And this was late 2019, right before the pandemic hit.
How did you build the 100K?
Couple things. First thing I like to acknowledge right off the bat, my parents were able to financially contribute for college a little bit. That wasn't a check. That wasn't just take this money and go have fun. I was working 3 jobs while I was in school. I got like $80,000 in merit scholarships, but it is a privilege I love to acknowledge, is that I definitely would not have hit 100K that fast if I had graduated with student debt. So that's the first thing. I started investing really early. I was 21, maybe 22 when I opened up my Roth IRA and started investing, tried to max that out every year. I was negotiating my salary every time I switched jobs. I was negotiating at least 10 to 15% for both raises and when I left jobs. And then I was really clear on prioritizing my spending. I was not depriving myself. I was still traveling. I was still eating out, but I made sure that I was only spending my money on things that I actually loved and things that were actually something that brought me joy, as opposed to just feeling like, okay, I can blow my money on whatever I want. And that's part of what I teach my clients, is like, you don't have to stop spending money. I just need you to stop spending money on shit that you don't care about. And then HerFirst100K was, you know, the side hustle. So in addition to saving a good percentage of my 9-to-5 income, after taxes and expenses on my business, I got to save all of that. I got to save or invest everything that was coming through the business as well. So yeah, the joke was if I could hit the 100K before I turned 26, like the day before I turned 26, it still counted. So I hit it at like 25 years and 3 months.
Whoa. Okay, so that's so young to realize all of that and start doing all of that, but I think like I think like probably you're a little bit younger than me, and I think maybe like my generation was very much like go to college and you're gonna be fine and don't ever think about it. And I think like
I think that was me too.
Really? Because like
Yeah.
I feel like 1 5-year group lower like was sort of like, now hold on a second.
I mean, maybe. I'm right on the cusp. I'm technically a millennial. I was born in 94, and I think Gen Z is like 96, 97. So, like, I kind of, like, you know, straddle that line. I think, I mean, it was more, you're probably right, where we, I think, had the realization of, like, student debt fucking sucks, and maybe you didn't.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of very interesting posts lately. I don't want to call out anyone's names, but I do think that they are onto something, although where it's specifically Black women, and then in this one instance a Black trans woman I saw, who were posting lavish vacation, nice shoes, certain things, and then there was like largely white women being like, you're not talking about, you know, you're not being socialist, you're not talking about X, Y, and Z, whatever. And this particular Black woman wrote like a notes app thing being like, fuck right off. Like you know,
I'm on vacation.
I am allowed to have this in a way that is viewed as like empowering, which then for me, I go, absolutely. You know, like for that person, I'm like, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do anything, make your money, make $500 million on investment, you know, not that much.
Yeah.
And say like, you go for it.
Right.
So it's
totally.
context.
And I mean, right, exactly. And if anything has been taught in the decades we've been on the internet, is that you can't have nuance in a conversation online. Like, not with a large audience. People don't want that. And so it's like, you know, you can be like, you know, I'm like, Bernie, great. Like, let's fucking give people healthcare. Like, let's like change the thing. But if I'm ever happy that I like have a car, or I like, you know, live in a house with a pool, which I don't own, so don't get mad at me. Or, you know, on the smallest level, the house that I rent has a kitchen island, and they're like, we're coming for you. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, whatever that level is that, like, starts to annoy people, I also do think of the context of my life. I'm like, I grew up super poor. I remember, like, the day we got cable, it was like we had won the lottery. Like, now we get to sit on the couch and watch more than 3 channels. And, like, that was it. Like, that was the beginning and end of what my summer meant. Like, it wasn't like we went on a vacation.
I know. So
it wasn't like we had camp.
I know. So it's like, how do you
feel?
How do you feel like empowered? Is it like, I guess my brain is just like, is it feminism to be making money as like a marginalized person?
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know if it's feminism. I know that it is progress. That's the only problem. Is like, you know, is this like helping women across the, you know, the board? I don't know. I don't know that it's you know, solving the patriarchy problem in any regard. Seems like they're still hanging out.
Tori's great because it's marketing, and like she comes from a marketing background, so I do understand that it's marketing. But so in a lot of ways, she's brilliant.
Right.
But I just was curious, about having a conversation with a friend of mine who I know is smart, such as yourself, who is, I know has been in internet feminism, you know, the amount, but like, I still have this weird thing where like, even when I see people who have like feminist in their bio, I kind of go like, oh, vintage. Like,
exactly.
What sort of 2014? Yeah, like what sort of?
Totally.
But that's so wrong. I feel like, because that person is actually probably doing good. You know,
right? Or at least like willing to have a conversation with people who disagree with them. It's just it feels like almost like, you know, I want people to be comfortable at whatever level of understanding they're at. It is just sort of like watching your parents post something that you know has already been debunked, like, you know, a mole and an eagle being friends on Facebook, and you're like, that's not real. It's like, thank you for posting feminist, but like, we've moved forward. Like, you just don't know yet because you're not online enough.
Yeah. It's like a basic or like a nuance. I don't know, because then I'm like, I don't have an opinion. Like, I'm so confused about, like, is it good to make people rich, or is the problem that, like, now these people, you know, it's like that meme that makes that meme, that liberal meme that made me laugh so hard, which was like, liberals, more female guards at the camps. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I mean, that's so real. Like, I literally, the story I could tell you about trying to pitch a show with someone who thought that was the perspective we had. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but I think, and I think oftentimes women of color are left out of that conversation, or people,
Totally.
I would say specifically like women of color or like AFAB people of color, like are just
Totally.
completely left out of the conversation, which is why when I see that specific trans woman of color thriving and in a capitalist way, like in a way that is showing off wealth, I'm like,
Right.
I feel fine about that.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, every time I post something that looks like a little bougie, I'm like, well, you know what? My people were slaves. Like, I would love to be able to go back in time and be like, look at this iPhone that I have in the future. Like,
Right.
it gets better, not for you, but for us.
Oh my God, Akilah!